Our people from all over the country converged in Manila to celebrate the Feast of the Black Nazarene, a time-honored tradition that has touched the lives of Filipinos. This year's celebration, like all others in the past, was a time to take the journey to express the devotion of our people to Jesus for his sacrifice and giving up his life for our salvation. Joining us tonight on NewsLife is Father Francis Lucas, the president of the Catholic Media Network. Good evening, Father, and welcome to NewsLife.
Good evening, Robert, and all our viewers.
Now, Father, every year, devotees of the Black Nazarene has multiplied by leaps and bounds. Now, what has led Filipinos to celebrate the Feast of the Suffering of Jesus?
It simply means that we are one with the suffering of Jesus. And there are two ways of looking at suffering and pain. One way of looking at suffering and pain is it creates a system where you become so miserable in your life. So not all pains is equal to misery. But there are a lot of pain and suffering that we go through in life that we're willing to do with a better objective and purpose, and that makes us joyful. So because you get a success, you get challenged by the suffering, and you don't lose hope in your life.
Now, Father, for those who don't really know the history of the Black Nazarene, now, why was it called the Black Nazarene in the first place?
It's called the Itim na Nazareno or Black Nazarene because of its color. It's really black.
Now, why that? Is there a history to that?
Well, history says, although it's not clearly documented with evidence, that when it was brought to the Philippines through a galleon ship, it was not at that time black. But then the ship burned, and the Nazarene was saved was not burned, but its skin, its texture became black because of the fire.
Now, Father, is it enough for anyone to celebrate the Feast of the Black Nazarene once a year?
The devotion, actually, we call it the panata. The panata is usually once a year, but there are other panatas that you walk on your knees from the doorstep to the end of the aisle going to the altar, and so many others. But then, since the feast is the fiesta, it is the most important day for the devotees of the Black Nazarene. But in practicing this devotion to the Black Nazarene, every day is important for us to pursue what we promised the Nazarene, the Jesus Christ himself, to better our lives.
Now, Father, what lessons should we learn from the suffering of Jesus Christ, which many of us may have forgotten?
I would presume, if you really look deeper into the reason why Christ suffered, he suffered not for himself. The gain was not for him. The gain was saving others. He did not need to suffer for himself. So this is one of the lessons usually we forget, that when we do a sacrifice, it's not for ourselves, it should be for others. And we will have to take care always of the other in order to emulate what Jesus keeps on telling us. So suffering is always for the other, and our lives must be dedicated to God by helping others and assisting others, especially those who are least, last, and the lost.
Now, Father, if we tie this in with good governance in government, now how should our leaders follow the example of Jesus inspired by the image of the Black Nazarene?
If the leaders have a devotion to God, to his saints, to the images that represents and bridges our faith with God, then we have to practice this faith and not live a double standard that, you're given by God so much blessing, but when you return to God, your gratuitous thanks to God, you do that in becoming so immoral and doing bad things that destroy others and doing injustice and oppressing others or cheating others. So this should be removed from the interior of ourselves so that we can express our faith and practice our faith daily.
Father, many devotees believe the Black Nazarene showered their families with miracles. Now, what is the greatest miracle in the Bible?
Well, the greatest miracle of the life of Christ, of course, is His resurrection from the dead. Because without that, our faith will be so shaky. You know, it's supernatural. It's only God who can do that, that He resurrected. What does that mean for us? That there is always hope. And you know, the devotees somehow sees this, that despite the suffering and pain they go through, they have hope for better tomorrow. That's why maybe the expansion of the number of devotees is because there are so many people in the Philippines really struggling to survive, being oppressed, being abused by others. Even during processions, you can see that some people try to manipulate them, making money out of them, and even the feast itself. So this is what we have to look into, and together create communities that have faith in helping each other, continuing to hope. For example, if you have disasters and nobody will help you, you will be so miserable. But you know, Christ created communities, so we have to take care of our families and teach our your children to continuously help others, because that's the only way that a nation can survive.
Now, looking at that, Father, in the world we live in today, where we are surrounded by calamities, tragedies, disasters, and even issues of corruption, and so many other things. Now, how can this help us actually strengthen our faith and move on, especially now in the year 2014?
First and foremost, the relationship with God is interior. It goes back to the interior part of ourselves, not the exterior part. There can be so many kinds of expression, but the only thing that is very important is your deep relationship with your God coming from. Now, second to that, if it comes from your interior, we have all to change from within. Because what is within, we can start showing this and expressing this in our daily lives. So much so that we emulate Christ and His message by helping each other and creating communities and better families every day.
And Father, any parting words to our viewers?
What I can say is, God is alive because of the Feast of the Nazarene, especially this year. There's the increase of the numbers. God is alive in the lives of the people in the Philippines. Number two, that Filipinos never lose hope. Despite the misery they may be continuously facing every day in the challenges, they continue to trust in God and ask for His help despite everything. Third is that those who were blessed by the Blessed Nazarene, they're so thankful to the Black Nazarene, or to God, to Christ, that they are willing to stake their life and their children's lives by joining the procession. And that is a tough way of trusting in a beloved God who loves them more than they love themselves.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us here tonight at NewsLife, and always a pleasure to Father. That was Father Francis Lucas, President of the Catholic Media Network. Thank you, Father.
Welcome. Good evening.